The silence in space was complete, but inside the alien ship, emergency alarms screamed without stopping. Red lights flashed across every wall, and the air tasted bitter with fear and failing systems. Kang Min pressed his insect-like hands against the control panel, his compound eyes reflecting the warning lights hundreds of times. Sweat dripped from his chitinous forehead as he worked on the broken quantum drives. The engines that should have carried them home were now cold metal, as dead as the empty space around them. "How long do we have?" Sora asked from across the engineering bay. The crystal formations on her body had lost their bright glow, and now showed only dim, worried colors. Her people always changed color with their emotions, and right now she looked like someone watching the end of the world. Kang Min did not want to answer. He checked his calculations again, hoping he was wrong. 6 hours, he said finally. Maybe 7 if we shut down everything except life support. Jin Ho floated near the navigation console, his gas-like body contained in a clear environmental suit. His people did not have solid forms like the others, but the way his cloudy substance swirled showed his panic. "The communication array is completely broken," he reported. "We cannot send any messages for help." The research vessel Kethmaran had been traveling back to Consortium space after a successful mission studying dead stars. Everything had been normal until the quantum drive suddenly failed in the middle of nowhere. Now they drifted helplessly between star systems, too far from any planet or space station to reach with their emergency thrusters. Sora walked to the main view screen and looked out at the stars. They seemed so bright and peaceful from here, but she knew each one was impossibly far away. Her people, the Morthak, believed that when they died, their consciousness joined with the crystals of their home world. But here, so far from home, she wondered what would happen to her spirit. "We should try to fix the communication system," Kang Min said, though his voice showed no hope. He was Vex High, and his people were known for being logical even when facing death. "If we can send a distress signal, maybe someone will hear it." "Who would be listening?" Jin Ho asked. His gaseous form spun faster with worry. "We are in empty space. The nearest consortium patrol is 3 star systems away. Even if they received our signal, they could never reach us in time." The 3 aliens worked together despite their differences. The Vexhai were insect-like beings who thought with computer-like precision. The Morthak were living crystal people who felt emotions very deeply. The Fendry were gas beings who could think very quickly but sometimes had trouble making decisions. Normally these differences made them a good research team. Now they just made their situation feel more hopeless. Kang Min opened every access panel he could find, looking for any way to repair their broken systems. His 6 arms moved quickly as he tested circuits and replaced damaged parts. But the Yao quantum drives needed special materials that they did not have on the ship. The communication array needed a new power core, and theirs had melted when the drives failed. Sora tried to help by using her natural ability to sense electromagnetic fields. Her crystal body could detect energy patterns that instruments might miss. But everywhere she looked, she found the same thing: dead circuits, broken connections, and systems that had failed beyond repair. Jin Ho used his people's gift for complex mathematics to calculate their exact position and find the nearest help. But the numbers only confirmed what they all knew. They were too far from anywhere, and they had too little time. As the hours passed, the ship grew colder. They shut down the heating system to save power. They turned off all lights except the essential ones. They even stopped the gravity generators in most sections, letting themselves float to save energy. But still, the life support systems counted down their remaining time. The Vexhai way of facing death was to become very calm and logical. Kang Min began organizing the ship's research data, making sure their scientific discoveries would survive, even if they did not. He wrote detailed reports about what had caused their ship to fail, hoping future travelers might avoid the same problems. The Morthak dealt with approaching death through song and color. Sora's body began showing the deep blue and purple patterns that her people used for funeral ceremonies. She hummed the ancient songs her grandmother had taught her, songs meant to guide spirits on their final journey. The Fendry prepared for death by preserving their memories. Jinho began transferring his thoughts and experiences into the ship's databanks. His people believed that as long as their memories existed somewhere, part of them would live on. But in the 5th hour of their countdown, something impossible happened. Jinho had been monitoring the passive sensors, watching for any sign of help even though he knew none would come. His gaseous form suddenly became very still. "Wait," he said quietly. "I am detecting something." Kang Min looked up from his reports. "What kind of something?" "A ship," Jinho said, his voice full of disbelief. "A very large ship moving through this system." Sora's crystal body flashed with sudden hope, showing bright yellow colors. "Are you certain? Could it be a consortium vessel?" Jinho worked with his instruments, his cloudy form spinning as he concentrated. "I am certain there is a ship, but I have never seen anything like it. The energy signature does not match any vessel in our databases. It is huge, much larger than even a consortium dreadnought." "How is that possible?" Kang Min asked. "Nothing travels through this region. It is empty space." "The ship is moving toward us," Jinho reported. "Its speed should be impossible for something so large, but the sensors do not lie." They looked at each other with a mixture of hope and fear. Help was coming, but from something unknown. In all their years of space travel, none of them had encountered a ship design they could not identify. "Should we try to contact them?" Sora asked. Kang Min considered this carefully. His logical mind weighed the risks. They knew nothing about this strange vessel or who might be aboard it. But they also had less than 2 hours of air remaining. "We have no choice," he decided. "Prepare a standard first contact protocol. If they are hostile, we will die anyway. If they are helpful, they might save us." Jinho began working on their damaged communication system, using every trick he knew to boost their signal. As he worked, the unknown ship grew larger on their sensors, and they began to realize just how massive it truly was. Whatever was coming to find them, it was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The ship that appeared on their sensors was wrong in every possible way. Jinho stared at his instruments, checking and rechecking the readings. His gaseous form swirled with confusion as he tried to understand what he was seeing. "The vessel is 3 times larger than any ship I have ever recorded," he announced. "But it is moving at speeds that should tear it apart." Kang Min moved to the sensor station with his quick, insect-like steps. His compound eyes reflected the display screen as he studied the approaching vessel. "Show me the visual scan," he ordered. When the image appeared on the main screen, all 3 aliens fell silent. The ship was enormous, but that was not what made it so frightening. Its design was completely alien to everything they knew about spacecraft. Where consortium ships had smooth, curved lines that flowed like living things, this vessel was all hard angles and brutal edges. It looked like it had been built for war. Thick armor plating covered every surface. Weapon turrets jutted out from the hull like spines on a dangerous animal. The entire ship seemed designed to intimidate and destroy anything that got in its way. It was not beautiful like consortium vessels, it was terrifying. "What species builds ships like this?" Sora whispered. Her crystal body had turned gray with fear, the colors draining from her completely. "None that I know of," Kang Min replied. His logical mind tried to categorize what he was seeing, but it fit no pattern he recognized. The construction methods appear to be completely unknown. "Look at those weapon systems. They are massive." Minseok, the ship's communications officer, had been working frantically to repair their distress beacon. He was also Vexhai, like Kang Min, and his 4 arms moved with mechanical precision as he connected broken circuits. "I have managed to boost our signal," he reported, "but I do not know if they can understand our language." The unknown vessel continued to approach, and as it grew larger on their screen, more details became visible. The ship's hull was covered with markings that meant nothing to any of them. Strange symbols were painted or etched into the armor plating. The weapon systems were unlike anything in consortium military databases. "Could it be one of the silent builders?" Sora asked quietly. The silent builders were ancient species that had disappeared from the galaxy long ago, leaving behind only mysterious ruins and abandoned technology. The silent builders used organic technology, Kang Min pointed out. This ship appears to be made entirely of metal and composite materials. It is also clearly inhabited. I can detect life signs aboard. What kind of life signs? Jin Ho asked nervously. Unknown, Kang Min admitted. The signal is like nothing in our biological databases. They watched as the massive vessel changed course slightly, heading directly toward them. It moved with purpose, as if it knew exactly where they were and what they needed. This was both comforting and terrifying. They must have received our distress signal, Min Seok said. But how can they understand it if they are not part of the consortium? Maybe they have encountered our people before, So-Ra suggested hopefully. But we have never encountered them, Kang Min replied. Every spacefaring species in the galaxy is registered with the consortium. These beings should not exist. As they debated, their air supply continued to run out. The recycling systems were failing faster now, and the air was becoming harder to breathe. They had perhaps an hour remaining before the atmosphere became completely toxic. Min Seok made a decision. I am going to try broadcasting on all frequencies, he announced. Mathematical progressions that any intelligent species should recognize. He began transmitting simple number sequences 1, 2, 3, 4, then prime numbers, then geometric patterns. It was the universal language that all space-traveling species used for first contact. The response came immediately. They are answering, Min Seok shouted, his compound eyes gleaming with excitement. They are sending back the same mathematical sequences, but they are adding to them. Look at this pattern. The unknown ship was not just repeating their numbers, it was completing complex mathematical equations and sending back geometric proofs that showed advanced understanding of physics and engineering. They are intelligent, Kang Min observed. Very intelligent. Then came something new. The alien vessel transmitted a series of coordinates along with a simple message in mathematical terms. Rendezvous point. They want us to meet them, Jin Ho. Translated unnecessarily. His gaseous form was spinning faster with nervousness. Do we have a choice? So-Ra asked. Her crystal body was flickering between hope and fear, showing both yellow and gray patterns. The truth was, they did not have a choice. Their life support would fail completely within the next hour. If the unknown aliens meant to harm them, they would die anyway. If the aliens wanted to help, this might be their only chance to survive. Kang Min used their emergency thrusters to move the Kethmaran toward the coordinates the aliens had provided. As they drew closer, the massive ship grew even larger on their screens. It was not just big, it was impossibly huge. It could have carried a dozen consortium research vessels inside its hull. Look at those docking bays, Min Seok pointed out. They have facilities for multiple ship types. They have done this before. That observation was both reassuring and puzzling. If this unknown species regularly rescued ships in distress, why had no one in the consortium ever heard of them? As they approached the rendezvous point, mechanical arms extended from the larger ship's hull. These were not the gravity-based docking systems that consortium vessels used. These were physical clamps and connectors designed to grab onto ships and hold them secure through pure mechanical force. Their technology is different from ours, Kang Min noted. More primitive in some ways, but also more robust. Will those clamps damage our hull? So-Ra asked worriedly. I do not think so, Jin Ho replied, studying the approaching docking arms. They appear to be adjusting to fit our ship perfectly. Someone aboard that vessel understands our construction methods. The mechanical arms moved with surprising gentleness for such massive devices. They positioned themselves carefully around the Kethmaran's hull and engaged with soft thuds that barely shook the smaller ship. Magnetic seals activated, creating an airtight connection between the vessels. They are extending an air bridge, Min Seok reported. The atmosphere they are providing matches our requirements exactly. How do they know what we need to breathe? There is only one way to find out, Kang Min said grimly. As the airlock cycled, the three consortium crew members gathered near the docking port. They had no weapons and no way to defend themselves if the unknown aliens proved hostile. But they also had no choice but to trust in the kindness of these strangers. The airlock opened with a hiss of pressurizing atmosphere. On the other side stood beings unlike any they had ever seen before. They were tall and bipedal, with pale skin and forward-facing eyes. Everything about them suggested they were predators evolved from hunting species. But their first action was to step forward with medical equipment and breathing apparatus. "Welcome aboard," one of them said in perfect Consortium standard language. "We received your distress signal, let us help you." The first thing that struck the Consortium crew was how the strange beings moved. They walked with confident steps, their eyes scanning everything around them with the alertness of natural predators. But their actions were gentle and helpful. The tall being who had spoken stepped forward and removed his helmet. His face was angular with sharp features, and his eyes were a deep brown color that seemed to see everything. "I am Captain Tae-Jin of the Battleship Indomitable," he said. "You are safe now." Kang-min studied the alien carefully. The being's skin was smooth and pale, without chitin or crystal formations. His body was muscular in a way that suggested physical strength, and those forward-facing eyes marked him as a hunting species. Everything about him should have been threatening, but his voice was calm and reassuring. "How do you know our language?" Sora asked. Her crystal body was slowly returning to normal colors as her fear faded, replaced by curiosity. "We have been studying consortium communications for some time," Tae-Jin replied. "We prepared translation protocols in case we ever needed to make contact." Another human stepped forward, this one smaller and wearing medical symbols on her uniform. "I am Chief Medical Officer Heejin," she said. "May I scan your biology to ensure you are not injured?" The question surprised all three aliens. Most species would demand to know who they were and where they came from before offering medical help. These humans seemed more concerned with their welfare than with gathering information. Hye-Jin moved between the three consortium crew members with a handheld medical scanner. She studied the readings carefully, her expression showing concentration rather than fear or suspicion. "Your oxygen levels are dangerously low," she observed. "And you, Kang-min, are showing signs of stress-induced molting. We need to get you all to our medical bay." "How do you know my name?" Kang-min asked, his compound eyes widening with surprise. "Your ship's distress signal included crew identification data," Tae-Jin explained. "Standard consortium emergency protocol." But that raised another question. How did these humans know about consortium emergency protocols if they had never made contact before? A third human approached, wearing diplomatic insignia on his uniform. He was older than the others, with gray hair and kind eyes. "I am Dong-Su, diplomatic officer," he introduced himself. "We would like to repair your vessel and ensure you can return safely to consortium space." "Why?" Jin-Ho asked bluntly. His gaseous form swirled with confusion. "We are strangers to you. Why risk your ship and crew to help us?" The three humans looked at each other, and something passed between them that the aliens could not interpret. Finally, Tae-Jin answered, "Because you needed help, and we were able to provide it. Is there any other reason necessary?" The simplicity of the answer was startling. In consortium space, rescue operations required authorization codes, payment, guarantees, and extensive paperwork. These humans had responded immediately to a distress call from unknown aliens, without asking for anything in return. Hye-Jin led them through the corridors of the massive ship, and the consortium crew got their first look at human technology and society. The walls were metal and composites built to last rather than to look beautiful. Everything was functional and strong, designed by a species that expected their equipment to work under the worst possible conditions. They passed other humans in the corridors, and each one nodded respectfully to the alien visitors. None of them stared or showed fear, as if rescuing unknown species was something they did regularly. The medical bay was huge, with equipment for treating many different types of biology. Hye-Jin moved confidently between machines designed for silicon-based life forms, crystalline beings, and gaseous entities. She clearly understood the basic biology of dozens of different species. "How do you know so much about our physiology?" Sora asked as Hye-Jin treated her crystal formations with exactly the right minerals. "We have made it our business to understand the species of this galaxy," Hye-Jin replied. even if we have not met them directly. But why? Kangmin pressed. What is your interest in consortium species? Again, the humans exchanged those meaningful looks. Dongsu finally answered. We believe it is important to understand our neighbors, even if we have not introduced ourselves yet. As the medical treatment continued, Jinho noticed something strange about the ship around them. Captain Tae-jin, he said, this vessel is clearly designed for combat. It has more weapons than a consortium battle fleet, but you use it for rescue operations? Tae-jin nodded slowly. The Indomitable serves many purposes. Rescue operations are one of them. What are the others? Sora asked. We patrol regions of space that are too dangerous for civilian vessels, Tae-jin replied carefully. We deal with threats that could endanger peaceful species. What kind of threats? Kangmin wanted to know. The captain was quiet for a long moment. The kind that peaceful species should never have to face. Meanwhile, human engineering teams were working on the Kethmaran in the Indomitable's massive hangar bay. Through the AE observation windows, the consortium crew could see their ship surrounded by humans who worked with incredible efficiency and skill. One human engineer, Ji Woo, came to report on the repairs. She was young and energetic, with oil stains on her hands from working on alien technology. Your quantum drives had a cascade failure in their containment systems, she explained to Kangmin. We have replacement parts that will work, but the repair will take several hours. You have replacement parts for consortium technology? Kangmin asked in amazement. We maintain supplies for many different ship types, Jiwoo replied cheerfully. You never know when someone might need help. The casual way she said it made it sound normal, but the implications were staggering. These humans had been preparing for rescue operations involving species they had never officially met. As the hours passed, more details emerged about human capabilities. They had translation matrices for dozens of languages. They carried medical supplies for every known form of life. Their engineers could repair technology from across the galaxy. Their ship was large enough to dock with vessels of any size. Everything suggested that humans had been operating in this region of space for a very long time, learning about other species and preparing to help them. But they had remained completely hidden from consortium knowledge. Captain Tae-jin, Sora said finally, I must ask directly, who are your people, and why have we never heard of you? Tae-jin looked at his diplomatic officer, who nodded slowly. That, Dongsu said, is a long story, and one that will change how you see the galaxy. The human captain gestured toward a large conference room. If you are feeling well enough, we would like to share some information with you. But first, you must understand that what we tell you will place a great responsibility on your shoulders. What kind of responsibility? Jinho asked nervously. The responsibility of deciding whether the galaxy is ready to know that humanity exists, Tae-jin replied solemnly. The three consortium crew members looked at each other with growing amazement and fear. They had been rescued by beings who were apparently so advanced and powerful that their very existence was a galactic secret, and now they were being asked to help decide humanity's future relationship with the rest of the galaxy. As they walked toward the conference room, Kangmin realized that their simple rescue mission had become something much larger and more important than any of them could have imagined. In the conference room aboard the Indomitable, Captain Tae-jin activated a holographic display that showed a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. The consortium crew had seen such maps before, but this one was different. It showed details that no consortium chart had ever included. This is how your people see the galaxy, Tae-jin said, highlighting the known consortium territories in blue. The colored areas covered perhaps 30% of the galactic disk. And this is how it really looks. The display changed, and suddenly the map was covered with new markers. Red zones marked dangerous regions. Yellow areas showed unexplored territories. Green sections indicated safe space lanes that the consortium had never discovered. Most shocking of all, there were purple markers scattered throughout the galaxy, each one labeled simply as Human Patrol. You have been watching us, Sora whispered. Her crystal body flickered with amazement and fear. Watching and protecting, Dongsu corrected, gently. For over 300 years, human ships have patrolled the edges of known space. We have prevented disasters that would have destroyed entire civilizations. Kang Min studied the display with his logical mind, trying to understand the implications. Where do your people come from? Why is there no record of your species in any consortium database? Tae-jin touched the display controls and the map zoomed to a region that consortium charts labeled as Dead Zone Alpha. According to all known data, this area contained only radiation storms and hostile stellar phenomena that made life impossible. We come from here, the captain said simply. That is impossible, Jin-ho protested. His gaseous form spun rapidly, with confusion. Nothing can live in that region. The radiation levels alone would kill any known form of life. Any known form of life, Dongsu agreed. But evolution finds a way. Our home systems are indeed harsh by consortium standards. We developed on worlds with high radiation, extreme gravity, and violent weather. What kills other species only made us stronger. The human diplomatic officer activated another display, this one showing images of human worlds. The consortium crew stared in shock at planets that looked like scenes from their worst nightmares. Volcanic worlds with seas of molten rock. Ice planets where the atmosphere itself froze solid. Desert worlds baked by multiple suns and scoured by endless storms. Your species evolved in hell, Kang Min observed with scientific fascination. Hell by your standards, Tae-jin agreed. Home by ours. It made us very good at surviving in places where other species cannot go. Ji-woo, the young engineer who had been working on their ship, entered the conference room with repair reports. She paused to look at the galactic display. Are you telling them about the Void Devils? She asked casually. Void Devils? Sora repeated nervously. The humans looked uncomfortable. Dongsu sighed. There are things in the dark spaces between stars that most species are better off not knowing about. Ancient machines, rogue artificial intelligences, creatures that evolved in deep space. We call them Void Devils, though they have many forms. The consortium has never encountered such things, Kang Min stated. Because we encounter them first, Tae-jin replied simply. Human patrol fleets seek out and destroy threats before they can reach inhabited systems. We have been doing this for centuries. The scope of what they were learning was overwhelming. Humanity had been operating as the galaxy's secret guardians, fighting battles that peaceful species never knew were being fought. Why? Jin-ho asked. Why risk your lives for strangers who do not even know you exist? The humans looked at each other again with those meaningful expressions. Finally, Captain Tae-jin answered, because someone must. Because we are capable of doing what others cannot. And because peace is precious and should be protected. Dongsu brought up another display, this one showing incident reports that spanned centuries. 17 rogue AI outbreaks contained and eliminated. 4 ancient weapon systems discovered and dismantled. 12 spatial anomalies that would have consumed star systems sealed or redirected. Over 200 pirate fleets destroyed in dead space before they could reach trade routes. All of this without the consortium knowing? Sora asked in amazement. The consortium knows about the effects, Dongsu explained. Pirates that mysteriously disappear. Dangerous regions that suddenly become safe for travel. Ancient ruins that are found already emptied of dangerous technology. You just never knew who was responsible. Kang Min processed this information with his logical mind. You are telling us that humanity has been the galaxy's protector for 3 centuries, expecting nothing in return. Not nothing, Tae-jin corrected. We get the satisfaction of knowing that peaceful species can continue to exist without facing the horrors that lurk in dark space. But why remain hidden? Jin-ho pressed. Why not reveal yourselves and join the consortium officially? The question brought heavy silence to the room. The humans looked troubled, as if this was something they had debated many times among themselves. Because we are predators, Dongsu said finally. Look at us honestly. We have forward-facing eyes. designed for hunting. We have physical strength that could crush most consortium species without effort. Our first instinct when faced with a threat is violence. But you rescued us, Sora pointed out. You helped us without asking for anything. Yes, Taejin agreed. But imagine how consortium leaders would react if they learned that a species of apex predators had been operating in their territory for centuries without permission. Imagine their fear when they realized that our ships could destroy their entire fleet without effort. Jiwoo spoke up from where she stood near the door. We ran simulations, she said quietly. First contact scenarios where we reveal ourselves to the galaxy. Most of them end in panic, fear, and ultimately war, not because we want to fight, but because other species would be too afraid to trust us. So you remain in the shadows, Kang Min concluded. We remain where we can do the most good, Dongsu corrected. Fear would make diplomacy impossible. But gratitude for unknown protection allows peaceful species to continue living in peace. The conference room fell silent as the consortium crew absorbed everything they had learned. They had been rescued by members of the most powerful military force in the galaxy, beings who chose to remain hidden so that others would not live in fear. What do you want from us? Sora asked eventually. A decision, Captain Taejin replied. You now know the truth about humanity's role in the galaxy. You must choose whether to reveal this knowledge to the consortium or whether to keep our secret. Why leave such a choice to us? Jinho wanted to know. Because you represent the three most common types of consortium citizens, Dongsu explained. The logical Vexhai, the emotional Morthak, and the analytical Fendry. Your reaction will help us understand how the galaxy might respond to our existence. Kang Min understood the weight of the decision they were being asked to make. If we reveal your existence, it could destabilize the entire consortium. It could, Taejin agreed. Or it could lead to a new era of cooperation between humanity and the peaceful species of the galaxy. We honestly do not know which outcome is more likely. And if we keep your secret? Sora asked. Then we continue as we have, the captain replied. Protecting the galaxy from threats it never knows existed, hoping that someday the time will be right for proper first contact. The three aliens looked at each other, each understanding that they held the future of galactic civilization in their hands. Their simple rescue had become the most important decision any of them would ever make. The three consortium crew members sat in silence for a long time, each lost in their own thoughts. The weight of their decision pressed down on them like the gravity of a massive planet. Outside the conference room windows, they could see their repaired ship waiting in the human hangar bay, ready to carry them home. But they would never be the same beings who had left consortium space days ago. Finally, a new human entered the room. He was older than the others, with white hair and deep lines around his eyes that spoke of long years and difficult decisions. His movements had the careful grace of a warrior, but his expression was gentle and thoughtful. I am Seung Ho, he said, taking a seat across from the aliens. I serve as philosophical advisor aboard this ship. Philosophical advisor? Kang Min repeated. He had never heard of such a position on any military vessel. Humans have learned that weapons and technology are not enough, Seung Ho explained. We must also understand why we fight and what we fight for. Every human warship carries someone whose job is to remind the crew of our moral responsibilities. Sora's crystal body flickered with interest. What do you believe are humanity's moral responsibilities? Seung Ho considered the question carefully. We believe that strength without wisdom is tyranny. We believe that power without restraint is evil. And we believe that those who are capable of protecting others have a duty to do so, even if they receive no thanks for it. But why must you remain hidden? Jinho asked. Why not join the galaxy openly and help even more? Because fear destroys trust, Seung Ho replied. If the consortium learned that a species of predators had been operating in their space for centuries, their first thought would not be gratitude. It would be terror. They would ask themselves, if humans can destroy our enemies so easily, what stops them from destroying us? Nothing, Dongsu added quietly. And that is exactly the problem. There is nothing stopping us except our own moral code. Other species would have to trust that we will always choose to use our power responsibly. Trust is earned slowly and lost quickly, Captain Taejin observed. We have been earning that trust for 300 years by protecting species who do not even know we exist. But if we revealed ourselves now, all that trust would disappear in an instant, replaced by fear. Kangmin's logical mind worked through the implications. So you remain secret guardians fighting the battles that others cannot fight, asking for nothing in return. It is not as noble as it sounds, Xiang-Ho said with a sad smile. We also remain hidden because we are afraid. Afraid that if the galaxy truly knew us, they would see us as monsters instead of protectors. The honesty of this admission struck all three aliens powerfully. These incredibly strong beings, who had built warships that could challenge entire fleets, were afraid of being rejected by the species they protected. What would change your minds? Sora asked softly. What would make you willing to reveal yourselves? A real threat, Taejin answered immediately. If the galaxy faced something that the consortium could not handle alone, something that required humanity's full strength to defeat, then we would emerge from the shadows regardless of the consequences. What kind of threat? Jin-Ho wanted to know. The humans looked at each other with expressions of deep concern. There are things moving in the dark beyond the galactic rim, Xiang-Ho said quietly. Ancient intelligences that have been sleeping for millions of years. If they ever wake up, if they ever decide to reclaim the galaxy they once ruled, the consortium would need every ally it could find. Including humans, Dongsu added. But until that day comes, we continue our watch. Captain, Taejin concluded. We patrol the void. We fight the monsters. We protect the peaceful species of the galaxy from threats they should never have to face. The room fell silent again as the consortium crew members considered everything they had learned. These humans had revealed themselves to be the galaxy's secret protectors, warriors who fought thankless battles to preserve peace for others. Kangmin was the first to speak. I have made my decision, he announced. His compound eyes reflected the starlight from the windows as he looked at each human in turn. Your secret will be safe with me. Why? Captain Taejin asked. Because you are right, the Vex-High engineer replied. If the consortium knew about your existence, there would be panic, fear, possibly war. None of those outcomes would benefit anyone. Sora's crystal body pulsed with soft blue light as she considered her own choice. My people value emotional truth above all else, she said finally. And the emotional truth is that you saved our lives without asking for anything in return. You have been protecting my species for centuries without us even knowing. That kind of selfless sacrifice deserves respect, not fear. She looked directly at Captain Taejin. I will keep your secret as well. All eyes turned to Jin-Ho. His gaseous form swirled slowly as he made his decision. My people are analysts, he said at last. We examine all possible outcomes before choosing a course of action, and I can see that revealing humanity's existence now would cause more harm than good. He paused, then added, but I want something in return for my silence. The humans tensed slightly. What do you want? Dongsu asked carefully. A way to contact you, Jin-Ho replied. If the day ever comes when the consortium faces a threat too great for us to handle alone, we need to know how to call for help. Captain Taejin smiled for the first time since they had met. That can be arranged. Xiang-Ho produced a small device that looked unlike any consortium technology. This is a quantum entanglement communicator, he explained. It will allow you to send a message instantly to any human patrol fleet, no matter how far away. Use it only in the gravest emergency, Dongsu warned. If you activate this device, humanity will emerge from the shadows. There will be no going back to secrecy. Kangmin accepted the device with reverent care. We understand the responsibility you are giving us, and we understand the responsibility you are taking on, Captain Taejin replied. By keeping our secret, you become part of humanity's mission to protect the galaxy. As the meeting ended, The three consortium crew members prepared to return to their ship. Their vessel had been completely repaired and restocked with supplies. They were ready to continue their journey home. But as they walked through the corridors of the Indomitable, they saw the human ship with new eyes. This was not just a warship. It was a guardian vessel, crewed by beings who had chosen to stand watch against the darkness so that others could sleep peacefully. At the docking bay, Captain Tae-jin personally saw them off. "Safe travels," he said simply. "And remember, if the galaxy ever truly needs us, you know how to find us." The Kethmaran departed from the massive human battleship and resumed its course toward consortium space. As they traveled, the three crew members found themselves forever changed by their experience. They had learned that the galaxy was both more dangerous and more protected than they had ever imagined. Somewhere in the darkness between the stars, human ships patrolled against threats that peaceful species never knew existed, and now they were part of that secret. Guardians of the Guardians. Jin-ho kept the quantum communicator in a secure compartment, hoping they would never need to use it, but grateful to know it was there. Kang-min updated their ship's logs, carefully omitting any mention of their encounter with humanity. Sora composed a song about the mysterious protectors who watched over the galaxy, though she would never share it with anyone. When they finally reached consortium space and reported to their superiors about their engine failure and rescue, they told a simple story. Their ship had been found by an automated rescue probe, repaired by robotic systems, and released to continue their journey. It was a lie, but it was a lie that protected something precious. The three of them would carry humanity's secret for the rest of their lives, knowing that somewhere in the void, the humans continued their endless watch. And in the deepest part of their hearts, they felt safer knowing that when the darkness finally came for the galaxy, they would not face it alone. The human battleship Indomitable resumed its patrol route, disappearing into the vast emptiness between the stars, ready to answer the next call for help without hesitation.